Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Terry. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys and gals have all been doing well out there. Thank you so much for coming back and hanging out here for a minute. So, got some pretty awesome news from our good friends over at Canon, and they have announced their brand new EOS R1. Not that it's going to be released soon, but that they're at least working on it right now. And if you ask me, folks, that's better than nothing, right? But Terry, why would you care? You're a Sony shooter now. Yeah, I sure am. But the thing is, though, is that I was shooting on Canon for I think 6 or 7 years before I made the switch here to Sony, and I have nothing but good things to say about them. The only reason why I switched is because with their RF mount, I didn't really agree with the move, how they were blocking third-party manufacturers from making lenses, but they've opened that up now to their APS-C style cameras, so like, you know, the EOS, the R10, the R7, so like, since they're opening it up for their APS-C cameras, maybe later on down the road they'll do, you know, full frame stuff as well now, so that's a start. But yeah, so I do have a soft spot for Canon. So I got the press release here. Going to just read it off so you know I don't miss any of the information here. Now, two of the biggest things that really stand out to me here is that they're going to employ a new type of processor called the Digic Accelerator in addition to their already fantastic flagship Digic X processor. And what I'm going to assume that means is that it's also going to have some sort of AI capability for the autofocus, because they do go on right down here to say that it's going to be a new CMOS sensor that's going to enable large volumes of data to be processed at high speeds. And they also say that it's going to have never before seen advancements in autofocus technology and other functions. So again, I would assume that would mean some sort of AI functionality in this new flagship camera as well. Now, I do remember seeing like a year or two ago about how Canon apparently filed a patent for quad pixel autofocus. Like, we all know that there's phase detection autofocus, which is what my A7 IV here uses. Then there's, you know, the dual pixel autofocus that Canon came out with, and it's been like the industry standard for how quick, how fast, you know, autofocus should be. Now, apparently they might be working on quad pixel autofocus. Matter of fact, here, folks, just to give you guys an actual date here, you know what I mean? I'm gonna just look this up here just real quick. Yeah, so there was an article here back on CanonRumors.com on November 27th, 2023. They said that we have been told that quad pixel AF is not ready and it will not be featured in the EOS R1 image sensor. But I mean, the way technology moves, that information might have been true back then, but maybe today, who knows? And you know what? Personally, even if it's not their quad pixel AF that they're working on, if it is something to do with AI, which I can almost guarantee it probably is, that's going to be a welcome feature in my opinion. I know that Sony's AI implementation for their autofocus has been spot on banger. So I mean, you know, I know that a few other camera models that Canon's put out, like, you know, I know whenever the EOS R6 Mark II came out, one of the biggest features for it was the AI processor on it for, you know, for a quicker autofocus. So I can only assume that kind of functionality will be in their new flagship R1 as well. Now, unfortunately, this here is just more of an engineering announcement. There's no actual specs or anything just yet, so there's no sensor size, you know, megapixels or anything like that. It just says, yeah, it's going to have high-speed shooting and all that stuff to be processed at high speeds, but it doesn't actually give us an FPS amount for, you know, how fast it can shoot. But there is something here called action priority autofocus that's going to recognize a subject's movement by rapidly analyzing the subject's status in moments during a sports game when it's difficult to predict what will happen next. This functionality automatically determines the player performing a certain action, such as shooting a ball, as the main subject, and instantly shifts the autofocus frame, thereby helping to capture decisive moments of gameplay. But you know, just to go back to the R3 here for a minute, you know, this of course isn't their flagship camera body, but a lot of people bought it and use it as their flagship body. And you know, just to go back to it here a little bit, it has a back illuminated 24.1 megapixel sensor. It has, of course, has that Digic X processor. It can do high-speed continuous shootings of up to around 30 frames per second in electronic shutter mode, and around 12 frames per second with the mechanical shutter. So since the EOS R1 is going to be Canon's flagship device, I can only assume that the specs are going to be at least R3 and of course better. So probably, you know, it's going to be a faster shooter. It's probably going to have a much higher megapixel count, but until we get an actual spec sheet, we have to just speculate. Now, unfortunately, that's all the information I really have here available to me from this press release. But hey, if anybody out there might have some more information, do me a favor, drop it in the comments below. I would love to read it. And if I think it's verifiable, I'll also pin the comment for everybody else to see. Okay, but what do you all think, though, folks? Are you excited about Canon's new flagship? If you're in another system like me and you have Sony, and if you need something like that, do you think it might entice you enough to switch back? Do me a favor, sound off down below, and I'll catch you guys and gals next time.